Good evening and welcome to our Saturday edition of the Fbx Evening News. I'm Katie Looper leading our news tonight. State troopers say a woman was killed and 2 others injured aboard a Princess tour bus when it left the road and rolled over yesterday. The crash occurred near mile 173 of the Parks Highway, and investigators say speed was a factor. The 3 aboard the bus were all Princess employees. Troopers say the woman who died was from Malaysia and working in Alaska. The driver was identified as 25-year-old Brian Lanning. Troopers said he did not receive life-threatening injuries. Jack Ramey was driving his truck when he came upon the scene and pulled over to help.
The nurse that was there said that the one person was unresponsive and the other person they were talking to. The bus driver himself was standing outside the bus. So I set the brakes on my truck and got out and gave him a hug. So he held on and I held on, and it was a lengthy hug, you know, because the space he was in, he shouldn't have been coming out of. It was pretty mashed down, you know. So it was good to see that he made it.
Members of a committee in NATO visited the interior this week to discuss important issues regarding the Arctic. The NATO Parliamentary Assembly Science and Technology Committee purpose is to advise NATO, a 30-member group of military allies in Europe and North America, on science and technology issues. The NATO group heard reports from about a dozen officials on Thursday. Another item on the agenda was visiting the Alaska military bases. The committee toured Allison Air Force Base and Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. The strategic location of Alaska has proven to be valuable, something that was discussed in detail during the 4-day tour.
To give us their views of things, because of course that's a whole other aspect of Alaska's life and place in the world, quite apart from being in the Arctic. It's your proximity to Russia, and so it's very important.
Today, Fairbanks residents got their jump start for the well-being at the Health and Happiness Festival. The goal of the event was to empower participants to take control of their health with reduced cost screenings and free information on making healthier decisions. Here's more. Starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, members of the community lined up to take advantage of reduced pricing for blood draws at the Health and Happiness Festival. They also had a diverse group of health-related vendors, such as Fair Bikes, the new bike share system, Alzheimer's Resource Agency, Alaska Family Health and Birth Center, Arbonne, Alaska Earth Mamas, and Fairbanks' first rock climbing gym.
We have a number of wonderful local health-oriented businesses and organizations who are going to be here, along with many of our own providers from Alaska Center for Natural Medicine. They're all going to have booths, fun events. We also have some wonderful reduced price lab draws going till 12:30. So there's something here for everybody.
The Health and Happiness Festival is hosted by the Alaska Center for Natural Medicine, located off of Davis Road. Their intention with the fair is to provide the community with a range of health-related connections and to promote better wellness overall. Providers at the interactive booths were able to give simple tips on how to better live your life to its fullest potential.
Basically, just get a little feedback as far as what their posture imbalances actually are, and just a couple of quick tips on what they might do to reverse that. And it doesn't always mean seeing a chiropractor. Sometimes it just means sitting up straight at your desk.
I think the health of the community starts with the health of the individuals, and helping parents keep their kids healthy, preventing missed days from school, missed days from work, and just overall taking better care of themselves.
Reporting from the Health and Happiness Festival, this is Katie Looper. And we'll have more when the weekend's only televised newscast returns. Stay with us. Welcome back. A Fairbanks man was arrested and jailed yesterday on charges of sex trafficking. Members of a Special Crimes Investigation Unit took 28-year-old Leroy Straker Jr. into custody at his home. The investigation started in April when troopers investigated a report of shots being fired at a Fairbanks hotel. Investigators say several women told them that Straker was managing a sex-for-sale operation. Straker was charged with 2 counts of sex trafficking, and investigators said more charges were expected to be filed. A bicyclist was seriously injured by a hit-and-run driver yesterday evening. According to Alaska State Troopers, 2 people were on riding bikes on shoulder of Sheep Creek Road when they were hit by a truck. The driver of the truck drove away. One of the cyclists remains hospitalized. Troopers say the incident occurred on Sheep Creek near the intersection of West Tanana Drive shortly before 10 p.m. A witness said that the hit-and-run vehicle was a silver or gray truck, either a Chevrolet or GMC. Anyone with information is asked to call troopers at 451-5100. A California company is considering building a liquefied natural gas plant at Port McKenzie to supply gas to the interior Alaska and the rail belt. Westpac representatives outlined the plan to the Matsu Borough Assembly. Westpac plans to spend about $600 million on the project. One of their goals is to provide an LNG alternative for Fairbanks in the interior. Meanwhile, the Board of Alaska Industrial and Export Authority has passed a resolution that moves forward a project to build a liquefied natural gas plant on the North Slope with the intent to supply natural gas to Fairbanks in the Alaska interior. It authorizes IDEA to spend $1.6 million for items needed for the plant, while engineering and design work is still in progress. Ratings for every public school in Alaska for 2013-2014 school year have been released by the State Department of Education. In the Fairbanks School District, 5 schools received the highest rating possible, 5 stars. 19 schools earned 4-star ratings, 8 schools earned 3 stars, and 1 star earned 2 stars. Schools with fewer than 4 stars have to submit an improvement plan to the Department of Education. That means that Lathrop and North Pole High Schools, Denali and Hunter Elementary, Two Rivers School, Bryan Middle School, Star of the North Secondary, F.E. Cochran Charter, and Fairbanks Best will all be required to submit improvement plans to the state. And we're in the midst of a Fiddle Fest here in the interior, the 4th annual North Far Fiddle Fest to be exact. The festival began on Thursday and runs throughout today. Jamie Schwartzwald has more.
The Far North Fiddle Fest features a group of world-class musicians who have converged here in Fairbanks to perform and teach. For some, it's not the first trip to the last frontier.
3rd or 4th time up here, so I love it. There's a lot of it.
The 3 members of ALT joined Fiddler's Bed, the old-time Cosmic Trio, and other internationally renowned artists during this 3-day festival that culminates with a benefit concert Saturday night. Fiddle Fest workshops led by these musicians are ongoing at the Door of Hope Church through tomorrow afternoon.
It's really first-class musicianship, and to be able to teach children and grown-ups here and then to play for them, it's doing what we are meant to do.
Tickets are available for Saturday night's performance at the Davis Concert Hall. They can be purchased through the Fairbanks Hospital Foundation's website. All proceeds from the event go in support of FMH Hospice Services, which provides social, emotional, and practical support to terminally ill patients, their families, and loved ones. The service is staffed by clinical professionals and a group of 58 dedicated volunteers.
We could not do the work that we do without their support. They truly are the foundation of our good work, and our patients and families are truly the benefit of their generous hearts.
In addition to a free preview of Saturday night's performances, those who attended a community forum at Ivory Jacks Thursday night had the chance to learn more about hospice and palliative care. Dr. Jacob Strand is the Director of Outpatient Palliative Care at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. He spent the evening with Q&A sessions on a subject that is often hard to talk about and is frequently overlooked.
What often gets focused about palliative care and hospice is that it's purely just for the end of life. And I think what people don't understand is that patients and families benefit tremendously when hospice and palliative care can be involved with people from a much earlier standpoint. And really what we're talking about here is giving people control, independence, and power in a situation where they're often feeling like they don't have any of those things.
Jamie Schwartzwald reporting from Fiddle Fest.
Coming up on tonight's Sportscast with Austin Buchanan, we'll go into the track as UAF cross-country team had their first meet of the season. We'll recap Saturday's high school football action and much more right after this. Stay with us.
Welcome, Interior Alaska, to our Saturday Sportscast. Austin Buchanan here. Time to take a look at some sports with you. Well, this morning, the UAF cross-country team had their first meet of the season. Joe Cook was there and brings us the results.
UAF invited Hawaii Pacific and CSU Stanislaus for the Alaska Cross Country Invitational at the West Ridge Trails today. The women's team ran first. Hawaii Pacific senior Fiona McKenna won the 8K race in 22 minutes and 50 seconds, but Nicole Baith was the first Nanook in and had a photo finish for 10th place, beating Marissa Jimenez by a foot in 24:16.6.
Hi, good to hear everyone. As I'm coming up the hill over there, and all I wanted was to beat that girl in front of me. We've been going back and forth the whole race, so all I wanted was one finishing sprint, and it just seemed to work out.
It feels really good. We're kind of focusing on comfort, so this is a good warm-up.
Alaska would take spots 15 through 21 to finish third in the three-team race. In the men's race, it was all Stanislaus who had the top 5 runners after the first 4K loop. They took spots 1 through 2 and 3 through 6, led by Alex Villascusa, who finished in 26:03.
I mean, I'm a trail person. I like uphills and stuff, so it's a pretty cool experience to be able to actually race it.
UAF Seiji Takagi was the showman on the trails, but Isaac Lammers made up ground on the final loop. He finished 7th overall in 26:52. Takagi, King, and Rankin and Ross McDougall went 8, 9, and 12 for Alaska. The Nanook men took 2nd place.
I was not expecting this at all today, and mentally it was like, well, I just turned off a switch, and there was just nothing to keep me from going faster, and I was like, okay, let's just go harder until it hurts.
We're not where we want to be. We have training to do and certainly recruiting to do, but we're getting there and going in the right direction.
Thanks, Joe. Well, West Valley 0-3 so far this season to start off, looking for a victory today against Wasilla. Let's recap. Wolfpack won the coin toss, chose to start off the game coming out on offense. The Wolfpack went 4-0. Wasilla Warriors take it after the forced punt. Wolfpack holds them to 4th down, but the Warriors tested the defense and converted on the 4th down play, then scoring, make it a 7-0 ball game early in the first. West Valley answers back after Zach Lester connects on a 45-yard pass to Prince Cook for the touchdown. 6-7 at the end of the opening quarter. The Warriors come back out in the second quarter. 4th down once again, this time on the Wolfpack's 1-yard line. That's right, Warriors capitalize on the handoff for the score by the fullback Chris Alexander. 14-6, Wasilla leads. With less than 10 minutes left to go in the first half, Wolfpack's quarterback Zach Lester throws a 55-yard touchdown pass to Charles Suttoff to narrow down the score 13-14. Wasilla didn't hold back, going 3 plays for 36 yards and the touchdown 13-21, still Warriors leading. Wolfpack answers with a score, but still behind with 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go in the first half. 19-21. The half comes to an end after the Warriors convert a 4th down conversion, making it 4.5. Warriors quarterback Dylan Simmons finds his man, number 43, for a 31-yard touchdown pass. 19-28 halftime score. Wasilla goes on and wins with the final score, 49-25. Last night was the 2014 Mayor's Bowl. Lathrop taking on North Pole. Joe Cook was there, and he has the recap.
Mayor's Bowl 2014 in North Pole tonight. North Pole Mayor Bryce Ward and Fairbanks City Mayor John Eberhardt come to midfield for the coin toss, discussing this year's wager perhaps. The Patriots won this game last year, but tonight Lathrop tested North Pole's rush defense with a heavy dose of Travis Phillips. Lathrop attempted one pass on their opening 90-yard drive, and it was a play-action pass. Glenn Maiden to Jamari Whiteside for a 12-yard TD score, 6-0 Lathrop. On North Pole's ensuing drive, Lathrop's defensive back Nathan Barnett makes the Patriots pay with a 46-yard pick six, increasing Lathrop's lead to 12-0 to end the first quarter. But Dew Rogers would finally get the Pats on the board with a 59-yard touchdown run on a 4th and 11. 12-7 still in favor of Lathrop. Glenn Maiden would lead the Lathrop offense with another quick drive, just 5 plays it took them to get into the red zone, and Maiden would cash in with a QB sneak. 18-7 Lathrop at the half. The Mutes start the second half with the fumble. North Pole would recover, and on their drive, DeAndre Campbell rips a big one over 50 yards here, going into the end zone. He brings the Patriots within reach, 18-13. But Lathrop answered right back. Just 2 plays later, Maiden finds Whiteside again for another play-action touchdown pass to make it a 24-13 game. Lathrop still leading, both teams would play hot potato with the ball, trading interceptions, but Lathrop recovered a fumble right before the end of the third quarter, and they would score on a 7-yard run with 9:50 left in the game. They were up 31-13 at that point. And Lathrop's defense stalls North Pole as the Malamutes get redemption and win the Mayor's Bowl 31-13. They hold North Pole to just 13 points. The Patriots came in averaging 47 points per game. Lathrop also forced 4 turnovers. The Patriots fall to 2-2, and Lathrop is 3-1 after getting their 3rd straight victory tonight.
And now wrap it up for our Sportscast tonight. Katie Looper has your full weather forecast coming up next. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're here with Austin. So Austin, I know we've got a little bit of cooler temperatures this week. We had some frost coming up, but I'm pretty excited because it looks like we have a pretty nice week before things get rough.
Yeah, the mornings as I walk outside, it's kind of funny because I go outside thinking it's going to be real cold, and then all of a sudden I'm like overdressed and it's like 70 degrees outside.
You won't be saying that when it's 40 below, trust me.
I hope not. Well, I guess I hope so because I heard, cold is like a bad word to say, or no, snow is a bad word to say here in Fairbanks.
Yeah, you don't want to jinx us.
I'll try not to.
All right, so let's take a look into our weather. We'll start with our almanac. There's a normal high today of 60 and a normal low of 39. A record high was 80 in 1911 and record low of 20 in 1921. Sunrise and sunset equals 14 hours and 3 minutes of daylight, giving us a loss of 7 minutes from yesterday. And we'll look around the state today, starting with the southeast side. It's rainy in Juneau and Ketchikan in the high 50s to low 60s. Anchorage and South Central are sunny with temperatures in the high 50s. It's rainy in Cold Bay and Nome on the west side of the state. However, it's sunny in Bethel, temperatures all around the low 60s. Moving up north, it's chillier in Barrow with cloudy skies around 40. Fort Yukon and Fairbanks interior area is mostly sunny in the mid 50s. Now let's go to our lower 48. Starting on the northwest side of the states, it looks to be real sunny near Seattle, around 90. Traveling down south to Las Vegas and Phoenix region, it's in the mid-hundreds. As we move east, it shows partly sunny skies in the Midwest region with temperatures in the mid-70s. Rainstorms are expected in the deep south and Miami area with temperatures ranging in the high 80s to low 90s. And up the east coast, they've got showers in New York with the highs around the low 90s. Now let's check out our outlook for next week. A cold weather blast is moving west across the northern United States. As Hurricane Norbert weakens, spotty rain and moisture is moving into the southwest region. It's warmer in the Texas area, but as we look east, lightning storms are expected. And lastly, for the northeast, there should be nice sunny skies. But now back in Alaska, starting with the North Slope, there's sunny skies for Barrow, Nome, and Fort Yukon. It's 40 in Barrow and mid-50s for Fort Yukon and Nome. And partly cloudy skies for Fairbanks and Healy. Decreasing clouds and Delta, temperatures in the high 50s to low 60s. For the southeast side of Alaska, there's rain showers in Juneau and Ketchikan with temperatures ranging in the high 50s to low 60s. And moving west, we can expect it to be partly cloudy in Bethel and Kodiak. Rain is likely in Cold Bay, mid-50s for Bethel and Cold Bay, and 60 for Kodiak. And lastly, for a south central, sunny skies all across the region. Anchorage and Valdez are in the mid-50s and Homer in the low 60s. And lastly, for your outlook for tonight, it's to be around 30 with partly cloudy skies. For tomorrow's outlook, it'll be in the low 60s and partly cloudy as well. And lastly, for our extended forecast, low 40s nearly all across the board for our nightly temperatures. Monday, it'll be around 64, and Tuesday through Friday, we should expect nice temperatures right around 60 with mostly cloudy skies. So as I told you, it's going to be low 60s for the rest of the week. It looks not too bad. It's much better than the 50s and 40s we've been getting lately.
Yeah, today was great. I was out at the West Valley football game, and it's just tremendous weather. Like, I was like, I grabbed my jacket as I was going out the door this morning, and first it's kind of chilly. Yeah, it warmed up. It was nice, just out there letting the wind blow and shooting the game. So it was really good. So.
Yeah, it looks like another good week coming up for us, but you know, it's kind of getting around that changing seasons time. You know, I can't
Right.
expect these 60s to last for much longer.
And our Pro Football Challenge, don't forget about that.
Oh,
and,
yeah, Pro Football.
You get a free oil change if you win, you know, each week.
Yeah, and then
so
our grand winner is going to win the that generator from Outpost, Alaska.
That's going to be really nice, especially in the wintertime. It's going to be real good for
Oh,
you.
yeah,
so.
that's nice. Well, that'll wrap up our Saturday edition of the Fairbanks Evening News, and we're glad you could join us.
Well, join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
From all of us here at the News Center, have a good night.
Good night.